Hey everybody, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology, where we talk about twin flames, astrology, and ascension. Now, this is a special video today because we have two really special astrological alignments happening. And not only are they both happening, but they're aspecting each other. And so this is really bringing in some important energy for twin flames. And this video is a continuation of my 9-year cycle video that I did, where I spoke about how this year for a lot of twins is a closing down cycle and preparing to start something new. So yeah, this relates to all of the astrological alignments that are happening this year. The next big ones will be the eclipse. Now, as part of this video, I've channeled a healing activation for twin flames to assist with the energy that I'm going to be talking about in this video. So I'm not sure yet whether I'm going to leave it in this video or create a separate video for it. But either way, I hope that you'll either listen to the end and make sure you do that, or look for that separate video and just listen to it and see if it helps you clear some energy out for your own unions. Okay, so what is happening? Well, all year we've been dealing with, or most of the year, we've been dealing with this T square. Talk about it a lot, right? The North and South node are in Taurus and Scorpio. And then we've had Uranus on the North node, and we've had Saturn squaring the nodal axis. But we also have asteroid union squaring the nodal axis. And this has been really important, right? Union and Saturn have been pretty close to each other. They're in like the same retrograde trajectory. And this union squaring the nodes has been helping twin flames clear a lot of the multidimensional issues, these kind of unresolved issues from other lifetimes, so that we can move into union in this lifetime. It's basically like we have to go in and we have to clear up a lot of our past life stuff. So I hope that all of you have been working on that in one respect or another. You know, maybe some of you doing it consciously, some of you doing it unconsciously, but really this year has been about healing and inner change, and that's really important to this energy. So that's the first aspect, and I've talked about that in other videos, and I can link them below in the description box. But this new aspect that is coming in is a conjunction between Isis, Osiris, and Horus. Now, this is another aspect that I've talked about before. I think that aspect, I think it last happened in 2020. Again, I can post a video to that before. In fact, when I talked about it the first time, I didn't do a video. I wrote about it. But you could search that article on my website. So the first time I talked about it, I talked about it representing inner union. When I talked about it the last time on video, I talked about it bringing in alchemy. Now, alchemy is when we can transform our fear and turn our fear into gold, right? This time, I feel like this conjunction is coming together because it's representing an activation for outer union, especially because it's going to be happening exactly opposite asteroid union and making that cross with the nodal axis. Remember, the nodal axis is like, it really is representing our multidimensionality. So it's a very, very important alignment. Now, does that mean that all twins are going to come into union on September 1st or September 2nd? No, it doesn't. When we have these alignments and it creates an activation, what is happening is these energies are becoming more refined. Like union is an energy, right? And it's becoming more and more and more refined. And in that refinement, it's easier, it's easier for us to tap into that energy. But still, if we're down here and the energy of union is up here, then we still have to bring our energy up in order to connect with it. So we have to do our piece, which is that continual healing, so that we can raise our vibration up and up and up, and then be able to align with that union energy. So yeah, what happens is it's there for the taking, and this happens a lot. We go through activations of the divine masculine, right? Recently I posted about that the masculine is under transformation. And that means there's like a higher, more refined energy available to all of us as far as our masculine. So yeah, the energy of union, it is a lot stronger. There are so many shifts happening for people as far as unions are concerned. And it's hard if you're on this journey alone and you don't really know any other twin flames, because you're kind of living in a vacuum. But for me, I'm working with people every day. And so I'm seeing and I'm hearing about the changes that are taking place. So even though you may not be seeing it physically yet, doesn't mean that changes aren't happening, and that change isn't going to register in your own union at some point. So it's very doubtful that all twin flames are going to come into union at one time, right? That just wouldn't really make sense, because everybody is at a different space in their union. However, we're all going through these shifts together, and the next big portal is going to be the eclipses as well. So that will be something that I'll be talking about as it relates to this too, once we get closer to that. So going back to this alignment, and I don't really want to talk too much about Isis, Osiris, and Horus, asteroids, and what they mean. I will post links to what I've written about before. And if you are curious, then please go back and review that material. But I will say, most of you know who Isis and Osiris are. And Isis and Osiris really carry the original template of twin flames. That's why, to me, they're the most important energies connected to twin flames. And Horus represents the third energy, which is the union of Isis and Osiris and what manifests from their union. Maybe I will just talk briefly about this, because I might touch on this in a moment when I go into the energies that are affecting twin flames right now. So Isis and Osiris are brother and sister, and they're also married, which was very common for the pharaohs in ancient Egypt. And their brother, Set, was jealous of Osiris. So he tricked Osiris and then killed him and dismembered his body, and through the different pieces, he strewn them all around the Nile. So Isis went and collected all the pieces. And then she brought his fragments together. She healed him. And through that healing and subsequent union, Horus was born. So that is another reason why they're so important to representing twin flames, because it's the divine feminine that heals the divine masculine, and then we're able to achieve that third energy, which is really a physical manifestation. So this portal is going to be active from the 29th of August till around the 15th. But the tightest aspect is going to be happening from September 2nd to the 14th, with September 2nd being the most important day. And that day is important because all three of those asteroids are going to be on the 15th degree of Leo. But they're going to be making aspect to the north and south node, which will be on 15 degrees, and asteroid union, which will also be on the 15th degree. So all of those asteroids and points being on the 15th degree. The moon is also going to cross the 15th degree of Scorpio, I believe on the 1st or the 2nd. It's really like the 1st and 2nd of September that are going to be the most important. So we have the 15th degree of all the signs being activated here. And the 15th degree of the fixed signs is very important. They're known as the avatar degrees, and they represent the halfway point between the solstices and the equinox. And when I tapped into what this energy would mean, what my guide showed me was the Wheel of Fortune. Now, the Wheel of Fortune has the 4 fixed signs on here. That's Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo. And when they showed me the Wheel of Fortune, they showed me a lot of energy coming in, like lightning type of energy. And you can see we have this, I think that's like a Sphinx type creature here on this card too that I just noticed that relates to this Egyptian energy. And then the wheel is, to me, I don't think it represents an astrology chart, but that's what I'm seeing to my eye in this moment. So what does the Wheel of Fortune represent, right? It represents these kind of shifts and alignment that propel us forward from the universe. When the Wheel of Fortune is activated, it's like things are almost outside of our control and things just happen. So be prepared a little bit for surprises. And in my Virgo video, Virgo New Moon, I think I talked about like, some type of revelation. You would get a piece of your puzzle, but not the whole puzzle. Because in that video, as I said, my guides told me, they said, stop thinking you know what's going to happen. Because while we're in charge of what we're manifesting, how that's being manifested is being put in the hands of the universe at this time. And we have to be prepared. So yes, expect some kind of surprise or revelation during this time period. And also in that video, my Virgo video, maybe you should watch that video if you get time. we're then coming up to the Pisces full moon, which I feel like the closer we get to that, the more chance of revelation. And that will be also close to, the tightest parts of this aspect. This aspect is really happening in between the Virgo new moon and the Pisces full moon. It's very powerful, is what I'm getting. And we also have Black Moon Lilith, Chiron, and Juno also on either the 15th or 16th degree. Of course, Uranus is at 18 degrees. So Uranus is still in aspect. Saturn is at 20 degrees. So Saturn is still in aspect. And Isis, Horus, and Osiris, they're going to be traveling together during that kind of 2-week period. So while they won't always be on the same degree, they'll be playing tag with each other, and they'll be like two on the same degree and one or 2 degrees off, and then that will catch up, and one might go ahead 1 or 2 degrees, but they'll all still be very tight in aspect, even though it's really the 15th degree that is pushing a lot of this energy. So to have these 3 asteroids, which are really representing union, opposing union, very, very important. And the nodes bring in this multi-dimensionality. And as I said, what we're needing to do in 2022 is really work on unresolved past life issues that are blocking our unions. And the amount of unresolved energy is going to vary per union. But we have to actively work towards clearing these issues. And I was told that all twin flames currently have blocks in the 3rd energy, all twin flames incarnated. So it doesn't matter whether you're, physically with your twin or not, you still are going to have blocks to your full union energy, meaning you can still tap in higher to this higher, more refined union energy if you get rid of these blocks. So what these avatar degrees are doing are creating a portal, because when we ascend, our timelines, all right, our other lifetimes, those are other timelines, they begin to converge, and they come into like a focused point. And that's what is being represented here. The energy is coming into a focus point from these different directions. And here, like another way that we can look at this wheel, and there's 6 kind of angles on this wheel, we can look at this as all the different timelines, and they're converging into this point. So the more that you've cleared and the more that you can smoothly align these different timelines, then the more powerful you're going to be in your 3rd energy, and therefore your ability to manifest from the 3rd energy. So as I talked about a little bit earlier with Isis and Osiris, they're an example of showing us that the divine feminine is meant to heal the divine masculine. And, a lot of you are going to feel like that's unfair, especially if you're carrying the divine feminine energy. But it's really the divine feminine that is the focus of forgiveness and unconditional love. Now, that doesn't mean that the masculine doesn't have to get there and embody that as well. But if we look at this myth, it's a perfect example of Isis in her unconditional love for Osiris, she collects his fragments and heals him. Now, this is a metaphor for spiritual energy because also relating to these timelines, we have soul fragmentation. Both the masculine and feminine have soul fragmentation. And part of what we're doing when we're healing and clearing on that multidimensional level is we are reintegrating lost soul fragments on other timelines. But the feminine has already done a lot of work on her lost soul fragments and is in a better place to bring that healing to the divine masculine. It's through that unconditional love that the masculine heals that. Now, remember, we have the masculine energy inside of us as well. So, part of this is working on the fragmentation that we experience within our own divine masculine energy inside of us. So, why I said a lot of people might not like when I say that the divine feminine has to heal the divine masculine is because a lot of people out there believe that the divine masculine has not been pulling his weight. There's even beliefs out there that the divine masculine isn't coming, that the divine masculine isn't strong enough to make this shift, that you have to forsake your twin flame and manifest a new twin flame because the old one just wasn't up to the task. And, people have a lot of different situations. And so maybe some of that resonates for certain situations, but for true twin flames, no, that to me doesn't resonate at all because your twin flame is you. So if your twin flame is walking away, then you're somehow walking away because you're not going to be separate in your energies like that. And what I've channeled from the divine masculine regarding this alignment is that the divine masculine is fully committed to this twin flame journey. Whether or not you see it, or whether or not even the divine masculine sees that being manifested in their 3D, their spiritual self is committed to this journey. So we have to manifest our unions. We have to create it, especially now, 2022. Remember, I channeled from Isis earlier this year that we are now the creators of our reality. But for me, I've always been told since I first met my twin that the way to create a twin flame union is by manifesting it. And we can only manifest it by healing ourselves and believing in it. So when we think that the divine masculine is stuck or that they've given up, that's a projection of the wounded feminine energy. And that's what we're going to talk about in regards to this alignment. So Isis, Osiris, and Horus are conjunct on the Sabian symbol brilliant sunshine just after a storm, which is another indication that even though we've been through some tough times, we've been through some challenges, there is some sunshine ahead for us. And we have to hold steady in our manifestation and in our beliefs if we're determined to manifest this. And it might not happen this week or next month or this year or next year. It may not even happen the year after that. But we have to stay focused in our understanding that we're also in the ascension process. And that is key to our union and really being able to fully access our union. And that the energies available to us on earth are constantly going through refinement the divine masculine, divine feminine, divine um, union energies, they're constantly being refined, and we have to keep refining and alchemizing in ourselves until we can make that contact with that energy. And what I'm getting as I even talk about that is like when they get refined, we get a little bit closer to them and a little bit closer to them. And some people are there. Some people are close enough. Although, like I said, all twin flames still have blocks to full union based on their multidimensional experience. So we can't give up the faith. And as far as the divine masculine goes, right? Why would, because most twins are not in union. Let's say 90% of twins are not in union. That's probably conservative. Um, would 90% of divine masculine energies fail? Would all of them like back out because this is too hard? No, I mean that just doesn't resonate as any type of truth. So let's talk a little bit about what I was told in regards to the biggest blocks for twins right now. So the divine masculine, they're saying, is dealing with a lot of grief because they have a lot of unresolved karma with their divine feminine twin flame. And this has created an energy within them that they're afraid of being with their divine feminine because they have so much of this unhealed energy. Basically, in a lot of lifetimes, there's been that separation, and a lot of times the separation was caused by death. And the divine masculine, they have taken a lot of that on because they carry the energy of protection and safety and chivalry, and they feel like they have let their divine feminine down. And therefore, at this time, they're unworthy of being with their divine feminine, or their heart chakra is blocked because of all the grief that they've experienced from the loss and separation. And it's easy to forget because the divine masculine at times can be very silent. It's easy to forget that the divine masculine has experienced pain and that they have a lot of pain to heal. But they do. They do. And so how this plays out for them is that they avoid their divine feminine, or they avoid their union energy, right? Um, I don't want to use that word that begins with an R because that's not what they're doing, but it's more like a safety issue for them. Um, they don't feel safe opening up their heart to their divine feminine because of this unhealed grief and loss. And it's not that they don't want to open up their heart to you because they don't trust you. It's just they don't trust that they're not going to experience that grief again, or experience that inner failure that they're still holding themselves to. Now, for the feminine, what I was told the feminine's biggest block is right now is anger from unhealed past lives, and that therefore creating a barrier to the divine masculine and to their union. And there's a fear on both sides of having interaction with each other because of all the projections that are there from the unresolved emotions. And for the masculine, a lot of that energy of wanting to avoid their twin or avoid their union is coming from unresolved emotional issues and repressed emotions. And they have to work through those repressed emotions slowly. If they were to just wake up and have to experience all in one go all those repressed emotions from so many different timelines, it would just be overwhelming to them. So we have to be very patient and loving and forgiving of our divine masculine and realize that they're not trying to avoid us, but they have to go through this process for themselves right now. And yeah, the divine feminine is carrying anger from this life, yes, but also other lifetimes. And that has a lot to do with separation as well, and also grief and loss. It also has to do with a lot of the patriarchal energies. That's why Lilith is involved. Lilith is on the 15th degree of Cancer right now. And I mentioned that there were some other planets. Lilith is square to Chiron right now, actually. So there is a lot of healing of the wounded feminine energies as well as the wounded masculine energies. And Mars is getting ready to shift retrograde, and that will bring more healing to the wounded masculine. So yeah, the feminine anger also has a lot to do with Lilith being abandoned, being betrayed, not just by your twin, but just being betrayed and abandoned by men and by the patriarchal energies as well. And it's interesting because the last time I talked, actually, I think both times when I've talked about Isis, Osiris, and Horus before, also talked about Lilith and how this energy of trying to create union is it keeps clearing and refining that Lilith energy, which is the divine feminine wounded self. What I'm getting is that we could almost look at that as the feminine's fragmentation. So what the feminine does in turn, because that anger and fear of abandonment creates a barrier to the divine masculine. The divine feminine feels very anxious about the union. It's hard for the divine feminine to feel that sense of security, right? And if your twin is not in the picture, okay, then you know how hard it is to maintain the trust and faith that they are going to come when you're not seeing it in 3D. But even when the twin starts to come more into your 3D reality, there still can be challenges around feeling a sense of security because you fear that your masculine is going to leave again. So there's a lot of anxiety for the feminine connected to the idea of union. So both are creating these blocks, which is affecting the third energy, which is affecting our manifestation. And how these blocks then play out between them is both people are so overprotective of the self that they're focused on their own situation and being able to defend and guard their own situation, that they're not taking the time to connect with their twin and that unconditional sense. And that is the most important thing that we can do for our unions. We have to let our guard down and let ourselves get into our heart in unconditional love and building a bridge of forgiveness back to each other. So this alignment of union energies is meant to help us shift some of this block. And now each pair is going to have different reasons why they're experiencing that based on what their other lifetimes were. Of course, authority figures, third party interference, dark energies, those are the three big ones, to be honest. There is death, of course, separation through death, but those are the biggest blocks. So, yeah, as I said earlier, what I was then guided to do was create a meditation so that you can work on resolving these issues within yourself. And it will be very potent at this time, but of course, you can use this meditation anytime that you want. I'll leave it up um, to be used whenever you feel like you need it. So before I get into that, I just want to say that if you like this video, if you like the content I put out, and you would like to offer a donation in exchange for that, I am very, very grateful for that. And I will link to my PayPal below. And yeah, I also have another meditation, which I called an activation for divine union, which is also channeled from Isis. So if you like this meditation and either you want more, or that's a good way to offer a donation to me, is just buying one of my videos on Vimeo. Especially if it's something that you want, and then you get something in return as well. So that video is 1111. And if you like this one, you may like that one as well. So check it out. And I will say too, if you would like a personal reading with me, my website is twinstrology.com.